Two plates. Both look healthy. Both are made of real, natural food. But I'm not going to tell you that one of them holds a food that unclogs arteries. There is no such food. Not a berry, not an oil, not a spice. If someone promises you one, they're either mistaken or they're selling something. The difference between these two plates is something else entirely. One of them holds 5 ordinary items from an ordinary grocery store, and each one has a specific job inside the wall of a blood vessel. On its own, any single one is a small thing. Together, on one plate, 2 or 3 times a week, over many years, that stops being a small thing. $8, 15 minutes, and I'll tell you, honestly, where the evidence is strong and where it's weak. I'd rather you trust me than be impressed by me. First, 30 seconds on how arteries actually get blocked, because once you understand the sequence, every item on this plate stops being a rule you have to remember and starts making sense. The inside of a healthy artery is smooth and flexible. High blood pressure wears on that lining. So does high blood sugar, and so does smoking. Where the lining gets roughed up, cholesterol-carrying particles slip in underneath it. Then oxidation damages those particles. That's the step that matters most, because the damaged ones are what the immune system attacks. And the pile of debris left behind is the plaque. Now here's the part most videos skip, and it changes what you're actually aiming at. Not all plaque is the same. Some of it is hard and calcified. It sets like concrete over many years and can sit there quietly for 2 decades doing very little. And some of it is soft and inflamed and unstable. That's the dangerous kind. Not because it's large, but because it can tear open without warning. The body treats the tear as a wound and forms a clot over it. The clot is what closes the artery, often in minutes. So there are really only 2 jobs. Stop new deposits from forming and make the soft ones you already have steadier so they don't tear. Every item on this plate is aimed at one of those 2 things. That's the whole idea. And I won't repeat it. You'll see it in each one. The base is a fillet of fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, or herring. I'm starting here because the omega-3 fats in fatty fish, EPA and DHA, appear to do something the others don't. They don't just slow a plaque's growth. Research suggests they may change its character, supporting a thicker, calmer cap over the soft material inside. That's the second job, directly. The multi-ethnic study of atherosclerosis, one of the longest running studies we have, found that higher DHA levels were associated with slower plaque progression in the neck arteries. And I'll be straight with you about the famous EPA trial you may have heard about. It used a concentrated prescription dose, not a piece of fish. The mechanism is the same. The dose is not. 2 to 3 servings a week. A serving is about 5 ounces. And canned sardines and canned mackerel are among the cheapest sources of omega-3 in any grocery store in America. $2 a can, and because you eat the soft bones, they bring calcium along with them. Underneath that, fish goes a real bed of leafy greens: spinach, arugula, kale, or plain romaine. Most people file greens under generally healthy and move on. Here's what makes them specifically artery food. Leafy greens are the richest source of dietary nitrates in the human diet, and your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, the molecule your blood vessels use to relax and open up. Picture a garden hose. When there's plenty of nitric oxide around, the hose stays soft and wide and water flows through easily. When there's very little, the hose stiffens and narrows, and everything has to be shoved through under higher pressure. That pressure lands directly on the damaged spots we just talked about. As we get older, that lining makes less nitric oxide on its own. Trials of nitrate-rich vegetables have found modest but real reductions in blood pressure, usually a few points. A few points doesn't sound like much. Spread across the whole arterial system. Over 20 years, it isn't nothing. Make the greens the base of the meal, not a sad little garnish beside it. 2 large handfuls. Raw is fine. Lightly wilted in olive oil is better, because a little fat helps you absorb the vitamins riding along with them. By the way, we're almost at 200,000 subscribers. If you enjoy the channel, hit subscribe. It only takes a second. Thank you. Let's continue. Third, extra virgin olive oil. Not olive oil, extra virgin. That distinction is the entire point because the polyphenols, the antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds, are largely stripped out during refining. One of them is called oleocanthal. It's responsible for that peppery catch at the back of your throat when you taste a good oil. And in laboratory work, it acts on the same enzyme pathway that ibuprofen acts on, though the amounts involved aren't remotely comparable. And there's a large trial worth knowing about. It's called Predimed, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it followed thousands of high risk adults for years. The group eating a Mediterranean pattern with extra virgin olive oil had a substantially lower rate of major cardiovascular events than the low fat comparison group. That was food, not a drug. 2 to 4 tablespoons a day poured over the fish and the greens after cooking rather than before. Buy a good extra virgin oil and keep it somewhere dark and cool. Now, let me stop for a moment because 3 ingredients in, a fair question has probably occurred to you. If it's the polyphenols and the omega-3 that matter, why not just buy the capsules? They're on the shelf. They're convenient. $30 a bottle. Here's the honest answer, and it isn't the one the supplement aisle would prefer. When researchers isolate a single compound, put it in a capsule, and test it against a placebo, the results are consistently more disappointing than what we see when people eat the whole food. That pattern has repeated so often it now has a name in nutrition research, the food matrix effect. These compounds don't seem to work alone. They arrive together with fiber, with fat, with dozens of others we haven't even cataloged, and they appear to depend on one another. The plate costs $8. Start there. Fourth, cooked tomatoes. This is where people are surprised because almost everyone assumes fresh must be better. For this particular purpose, it usually isn't. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, the pigment that makes them red, and lycopene is a powerful antioxidant. Remember the sequence. Oxidation is what turns ordinary cholesterol particles into the damaged form the immune system attacks. Lycopene appears to work directly on that step. And here's what matters practically. Lycopene becomes far more available to your body when tomatoes are cooked, and more available still when there's fat present. So use cooked tomatoes with a little olive oil. Canned crushed tomatoes work perfectly well and cost about $1. And the last thing on the plate, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds sprinkled over everything right before you eat. Here's why a seed earns a place next to salmon. Chia is unusually high in soluble fiber. When it meets liquid, it forms a thick gel. You've seen this if you've ever left chia in a glass of water. That gel traps bile acids in your gut, and your body manufactures bile acids out of cholesterol. Normally, they're reabsorbed and reused. Trapped in the gel, they leave the body instead, which means your liver has to make more of them. And to do that, it pulls cholesterol out of your bloodstream. That's the most elegant thing on this plate. You're giving your liver a reason to go looking for LDL particles and take them out of circulation. 1 tablespoon over the meal. Unlike flaxseed, chia doesn't need to be ground. One safety note, and it's a real one. Always take chia with plenty of liquid and never swallow a dry spoonful on its own. It expands, so that's the plate. Fatty fish on a bed of greens. Olive oil poured over after cooking. Warm tomatoes softened in that same oil. A tablespoon of chia over the top. 15 minutes. 5 ingredients. Now, let me tell you what to subtract because you can eat this meal every night and quietly undo it with what's already in the kitchen. Flavored yogurt. A small cup can carry as much sugar as a candy bar, wrapped in a label with a heart on it. Buy plain, full fat, and add your own fruit. And juice. This one causes arguments, so let me be precise. Even when the bottle says no added sugar, you're getting concentrated fruit sugar stripped of the fiber that would normally slow it down. A whole apple is genuinely good for you. Apple juice is sugar water with excellent marketing. Neither will destroy one good meal, but eaten quietly every day in the background, they keep feeding the exact oxidation and inflammation this whole plate is built to calm. One thing before the last point: if you take blood thinners or blood pressure medication, or you're living with a chronic condition, talk to your doctor before making a big change to what you eat. Not as a formality. Some of these foods genuinely interact with those medications. And here's the honest part: you will never feel this working. That's the hardest thing about arteries, and it's why so many people give up. When you take something for pain, you know within an hour whether it helped. When you eat this plate, nothing happens. No lightness, no surge, no signal. You eat dinner, you wash the dish, you go to bed. So don't try to feel it. Just make it boring. Pick 2 nights a week, say Tuesday and Friday, and let those 2 be this plate, not 7. 2. Keep canned sardines, a can of tomatoes, a bag of chia, and a bottle of olive oil in the house permanently so that on the evening you can't be bothered. The easy option is also the right one, because 30 years of quiet damage was never built by dramatic days. It was built by ordinary Tuesdays, one after another, none of which felt like anything at the time. That's also the only direction it can be pushed back from. And one question before you go, but not the one you're expecting. I'm not going to ask what your cholesterol number is. A single number on its own tells you very little. I'm going to ask about the direction. Write one word in the comments: up, down, or steady. Which way has your number been moving over the last few years? Because a person with a high number that's been coming down for 3 years straight, and a person with a normal number that's been quietly climbing, are in 2 completely different situations. And the second one usually has no idea.